Hello, folks. How we doing? Yes, sadly, Mr. ENC has been temporarily detained and will be with us shortly, but he has asked that I endeavor to persevere and press on momentarily without him, which we will now do. And I just want to say hello to everybody. We're going to have a really good show for you guys tonight. And I'm going to start off with some hellos to everyone. And I'm going to start with Mr. Hungry Jerk, who asks, "What does AMA stand for?" Well, MA is actually the two-letter code for Massachusetts, and A stands for Adams. So it's a reference to Adams, Massachusetts, the center of the known universe. I'll then go on to say, "Oh, Thrash Pondopon's in the house." And he says, "Hey, gang, see you at the half hour." You certainly will, won't you? You certainly will. Moving forward, oh, Mr. Spike Spikerson's in the house. He goes, "Questions? I got questions." Badgers? We don't need no stinking badgers, but answers that we'll have for you. And hello to you too, Mr. Spike. Oh, Mr. Led in the house. And he says, "My daughter is 19. What is she, a millennial? I can't keep track. I believe she is actually a Barbie and Kennial." Let's go with that. Barbie, of course, the reference to Klaus Barbie, the Butcher of Lyon. I don't think any of that is true. Oh, and let's see, a lot of more people having fellowship, and well, I just want to make sure I say hello to everybody. Oh, Mr. Lance Chaffin is in the house. He says, "Hiya, guys." Hello to you too, Lance, on behalf of both me and Ian, who will be joining us presently. Skipping down. Oh, Tracy Ross Myers. Hi, everyone. Hello to you too, Tracy. And let's see if anyone else has jumped in towards the bottom here. Oh, I see a lot of people talking about the Academy Awards last night. Yeah, wasn't that something? Um, I have long held that Mr. Smith has had, shall we say, deep-seated issues. I believe this may have actually pushed them to the top. Let's see. I'm trying to start the thread of the conversation. Oh, Mr. Lynn says, "All about publicity." A lot of people have suggested that the whole thing was staged. I don't know. Mr. Rock seemed legitimately surprised, and well, I don't know if he's that good of an actor. Not to mention, I don't want to say anything mean about Will Smith's wife. He may hit me. Ooh, but long story short is Jane has never, ever, ever, never had a sense of humor about herself. She's never learned to laugh at herself. So I don't think they use this joke. Well, they couldn't have done it with her approval. And I don't think Will Smith is dumb enough to try to do this without her. So, and yes, of course, Lance Chaffin says bad publicity. It sure is. People taking the most heat about this are actually the Oscars. They've been going downhill for years. They've become a joke. And you know what? When you're the Academy Awards and they're posting you next to World Star videos from Walmart, mm, yeah, things are rotten in the state of Denver.
Well, hello, everyone. Sorry I was a little bit late, but I left the show in trusted hands. My good friend Thrash Pondo Pons was there for me to take over. We were just running a little bit late on a lot of stuff, and I hadn't had time to have any dinner yet. So I was still in the middle of eating when this. And to make things worse, it's my night to cook too. So I was like, not only was I late, but I had to cook, and so I, I was like,
Pop
oh,
Tarts for dinner, huh?
it was similar. We had what we had was corn dogs and grapes and the healthy stuff. Corn dogs, the grapes not so bad, but the corn dogs and the French fries and the onion rings, all baked items though. I mean, it wasn't like fresh out of the fryer. Unfortunately, it was out of a box on a sheet
I
pan
didn't
in
get
the
corn
oven.
dogs.
I love them. I love corn
I love
dogs.
corn dogs. Although I had Wendy's tonight. I can't complain. My granddaughter had to stop in the same plaza that has the Wendy's,
Uh,
and I'm only human. So if I'm in the plaza with the Windies, I get me the Windies.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah,
Oh, John Collins.
we're just saying hi to everybody who's in channel right now.
We're saying hi to everybody. We had a little side chit chat about Mr. Will Smith's surprise actions at the Oscars last night. Naughty boy, naughty
Yeah,
boy.
we'll talk a little
And
bit more about that in a
we
bit here.
certainly will. John Collins says, hey.
Hey,
Hey to
John.
you, Mr. Collins. And, oh, here's something there. John Collins says, "Hey Bob, I so ready for next week's live stream about action movies that I've already sent my questions over to Ian." Well,
Yeah.
let's see. Either I'll read them in advance or I'll let them be a surprise. Either could be fun.
Well, it's on my phone, so I don't have my phone with me. So
Good.
I'll have to.
Well, as long as you have them.
I
Oh
can't read them now.
no, of course not. Well, I mean, you could send them to me at some point during the week, but maybe it's better to be impromptu. I'm always more interesting when I don't know what I'm doing. Dave Clooney says hi, guys, and hello to you too, Dave.
Hello, Dave Colroni. I thought I saw.
Trey
Oh,
Throssmeyer says, I love grapes.
yeah. Well, we missed BK on the air was here. Did you see that?
No, I didn't
Yeah,
see that.
I got to bring him up here. I'm trying to find him here.
Oh, there he is. I got it.
Oh, you got it. Yeah.
BK on the air says, hello, RC, and live long and prosper.
Yeah. Well, hello, BK on the air. Barry
Live-
King on the air. Yeah, I'm a fan of your work. I'd love to have you on the show sometime. So I will. I mean, if it's okay with you, I will check. I will check to find if I can see your email. If you want to, if it's easier for you to reach me at my email, all you got to do is go to the about section on the page, and my email's there, and you can send it to me. I know probably someone like yourself, you probably get lots of emails a day, so it might be. I will still send you an email if I can find it, but if I can't find it, or if I send it and it just goes out into the the sea of emailness, please feel free to
C-mail.
send me email. Please feel free to send me an email too. All right.
And Danny Staten says, greetings from South
Greetings.
Carolina.
Greetings, Danny. Glad you can make it to the show this evening.
And John Collins says, AMA means ask me anything, which is my jam. It doesn't mean Adams, Massachusetts. Oh, well, I will defer to your knowledge.
What? It doesn't mean what?
Oh, I made a joke earlier that it was a reference to Adams, Massachusetts, which is this little town out in the Berkshires. Very pretty area, but it's not what AMA stands for.
Not normally.
No. But when have I ever been normal?
Right. Well, join the club on that one, right?
Correctamundo. So let's see. A lot of people having fellowship, but so we were going to kick this off with a starter topic of some sort, so people could have a.
Well, I was gonna let the fans kind of direct and everything, but I mean, there are a couple things that happened this week that are important to note, especially among Gen Xers. And number one was the drummer for the Foo Fighters died in Brazil. I think that's where they were. Is in Brazil. I mean, that was just a real tragic event, to happen. And I really enjoyed his drumming. He was, gosh, this is going to sound, oh, yeah, Taylor Hawkins. He played for Alanis Morissette on Jagged Little Pill. At least he was the touring guy. I don't know if he played on the album, but he played on the tour. So, and that's actually where Foo Fighters picked him up. Was because they were getting done touring, and the Foo Fighters they had lost their drummer due to some conflict between the drummer and Dave Grohl. I don't know if you know where the backstory, but basically what happened is the very first Foo Fighters album, which is called Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl recorded that whole thing. That's all Dave Grohl. The vocals, the guitar, the bass, the drums, he recorded every single bit of it. And then he got a band together, and the name of the band that he pulled from was from his band Nirvana. Him and Pat Smear, who was the guitarist for both the Germs and then later guitarist for Nirvana. joined him along with Sonny Deo Real Estate, I think was the name of the band. And they had a bassist and a drummer. And so they joined the Foo Fighters. And then they went on tour and then they recorded their next album. Well, Dave Grohl was not a fan of the drummer's work. He did great on tour, but he just didn't like what he did in the studio. And so Dave Grohl went and re-recorded all the drum tracks for their second album. And this really left a bad taste in the mouth of the previous drummer. He was not happy about it. Dave Grohl said, "Hey, you can still tour with us. I just wasn't happy with it." And he said no. And so they were at a loss, and they found the other guy from Taylor Hawking from Alanis Morissette's band. Alanis Morissette, they didn't really steal him from that band. That's kind of a misnomer. They had closed out their tour, and he was kind of almost jobless, basically. And right as they closed out their tour for Jagged Little Pill, Dave Grohl called him and said, "Hey, come on and play with us." And he decided to do that instead of waiting for Alanis to record a next album and then go back on tour, because this would keep money rolling in. And him and Dave became really fast friends. I mean, they were really, really tight. Very similar drumming styles. Dave didn't feel like he had to correct him on anything. He was just really good. That, by the way, that the same thing kind of happened with Nirvana. I don't know if you knew this, but Kurt Cobain was also a drummer. And he was really, he was really hard on their first drummer, Chad Channing. He's the guy who plays on Bleach. And he would just keep telling Chad Channing how to play. And they basically fired Chad Channing and hired Dave Grohl. But then when Dave Grohl stepped into Nirvana, Kurt basically had absolutely no criticisms for Dave. I mean, Dave was a perfect drummer for what the sound that he was trying to reach, where Chad wasn't. And so kind of the same thing happened with Dave Grohl when he becomes the front man. He's got this drummer that he doesn't really think is that good, and he's got to correct them all. But then Hawkins steps in, and it's just amazing. He loves it. He played on the third album. He plays on everything else. And there's very little correction that Dave Grohl needs to make as leader of the Foo Fighters. And so they were really, really, really good friends. And to hear that he died at the age of 50, and he's like 1 year older than I am. He was born in 1972. And I was born in 1973. So, I mean, it's really close to home. And I was very, very sad that he had passed away. Anyway, what do we got? Do you have anything you want to say about it? And do we have any questions on that or comments on that?
Just that I too am very sad. They were very, they were a great band back in the day. So and again, he's like 5 years younger than I am, so it's even more depressing to me. So you definitely rest in peace. But Spike Spickerson has a question here. Here's a question: how many chickens would it take to kill a lion? Is that a biblical reference?
I don't think so. I can't remember any chickens. Chickens and lions together.
The lion will lie with the chicken?
Yeah, that's
well, yeah. I would be lying if I knew.
How many chickens? I've always said that I don't have a brother, but this is just for the sake of a joke. I always say between me and my brother, we know everything. And whenever there's a question that I don't know, I go, that's what my brother knows. And he's not here right now, so I couldn't tell you.
My brother's name is Dave. Dave's not here.
Yeah, Dave's not here, man.
John H. says, a local TV station to me in Albany, New York, had a satellite station in North Adams, Massachusetts. I actually went to school in North Adams. In fact, remember when I talked about blanketing my ceiling with that copper wire?
Yeah.
That was in North Adams, and I was trying to get the Albany stations.
And you got 2 channels, by the way.
I got up to 2. I had 1 initially. I got up to 2.
You got up to 2 channels.
Lance Chafin then goes on to say,
stop bragging with all your up to 2 channels.
Lance Chafin says, Ian, do you remember a toy called Big Track?
Yeah, I think that was a race car one. I think that was a race car thing, and if I'm recalling it right, I might be totally off on this, But I think it was a race car and it went in little loops and stuff like that. And it might have even been the one where you squeeze the trigger and the cars would go faster the more you squeeze the trigger. And I never had one. I only saw it on television. But I think that's what that is. But I could completely be wrong, just going off the top of my head.
That sounds right, but since I'm not familiar with the toy, I'm just spitballing. Oh, John H says Scoey Mitchell died about a week ago.
Scoey Mitchell. I don't know who that is. So
I was hoping you'd know. Rest in peace, Scoey Mitchell. But unfortunately,
yeah,
I'm not familiar with the work.
yeah,
I'm
for
sure,
sure.
I'm sure he'll let us know, and I'll be like, oh, duh.
Right.
John Collinson goes on to say, Bob, who was the highest-ranking Kennedy which you ever met or seen in the wild? Funny story. God rest, but when Senator Ted Kennedy was still alive, he used to come into the shop I worked at every single Sunday for his Sunday paper, and he used to refer to me as Bobby. He'd come in, morning, Bobby, and I would say, good morning, Eminence, and he would get his paper and maybe some coffee or something, and then go on and wrap up his weekend in Hyannisport.
Right.
But
Right.
he was a very nice person. Let's see
That's
what else.
cool. I have not met too many famous people. I've met a couple senators actually. I met Senator Orrin Hatch one time. Orrin Hatch went to space, so that's cool.
But he came back. That's the important part. Anybody can go to space.
Did
It's coming
he?
back.
Did he?
Well, you know what? Was it who was it? Elon Musk said his goal in life is to die on Mars, just
Yeah.
not on impact.
That makes a big difference right there.
I seem to have. Oh, here we are. Seem to have lost the thread here, but I'm going to skip down to my next question. Oh, of course. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll goes hand in hand. Yes, it certainly does. He passed on some time ago, the person who wrote that song as well. Very sad. And let's see what else we got. Here's one. Superplex is in the house. Hi, Superplex. Superplex says, I thought AMA meant American Medical Association. Every relevant in the era of COVID.
Very relevant in the area.
Very
totally.
relevant. Very relevant.
Yes, very relevant. And you could ask me any medical questions you want, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you want to take my medical advice. You take it at your own risk.
A Hunger Jerk says, not a Nirvana fan, not into grunge. I'm too old. Well, I was about your age and I was into grunge, so you're never too old to be interested in
Right.
music. But if it wasn't to your taste,
We're gonna have we're actually gonna have a grunge episode here pretty soon, a grunge proper episode. I don't know
excellent.
why people don't like Nirvana. I mean, I think that look, I mean, there are some things you just don't like. People like it, and you go, "Hey, I just don't like it. It's not that big a deal." But I think part of the reason why a lot of people did not like Nirvana was because they were so popular, and it's always fun to be on the bandwagon that's anti whatever is popular. I'm not saying that that's you, but I did know a ton of people who just didn't like Nirvana because everyone liked them, and they didn't want to be part of what everyone was doing. Yeah, when I mean, it was nutty when they hit. I mean, it was literally like Beatlemania for my generation. I mean, I had not seen anything like it. I mean, I'd seen popular bands before, of course, but I had never lived through a revolution like that, where I mean it was huge. I mean, we're still talking about it. I mean, I see kids today. I mean, kids like in high school and junior high wearing Nirvana t-shirts. That's unheard of. You don't.
Well, I see kids in my restaurant who wear Pyromania shirts from
Oh, dude,
Def Leppard,
that's
and
cool.
that's every bit of 40 years ago.
Yeah. Few bands, yeah, kind of get up to that deal. Okay, we can go.
Spike Spiken says, okay, another question. Do you have a can of Doc Naylor's Utter Bomb anywhere in the house? I usually keep two. I keep one in the downstairs utility room, and the other one I keep upstairs in the unused coat closet.
Do you really?
No, I have no idea what he's talking about. But
I
I felt
have
left out.
I have some Utter Bomb. I actually do. I don't know if it's Doc Naylor's, but I do have some Utter Bomb. It's So from what I understand, at least from what I can gather, the udder bomb is for milking cows, and you put it on the
I
udder.
thought that's what it was for, but continue.
But I mean, it works so good for lotions and things like that that people will actually use it on their skin. I've never used it, but I think I've got it somewhere. I know I do have got some udder bomb because it's like black and white like a cow and stuff like that. So
Yeah, that's what I thought it was, but then I'm like, I also thought it was an old reference to that old crank call. Do you have Prince Albert in a can? Well, yes, I do.
oh,
Well, let him out. He can't breathe.
he's suffocating. Let him
Yeah,
out. He's
exactly.
suffocating.
Before call waiting, we had fun.
Oh gosh.
Let's just see. Oh, Superplex asks Ian C, how is the missus doing?
We're doing okay. She's doing okay. That's kind of why I was late. We had a late meeting with the doctor today. So, I mean, it's not wonderful, but I mean, it could be worse. So, she's just tired all the time. She, like I think I had said that she has gotten done with her radiation treatment 2 weeks ago from today. I think it was 2 weeks from today. And that really takes it out of you. I mean, basically you're just dealing with radiation poisoning. And so she's just been laying down for nearly 2 weeks with the exception of moving when she absolutely has to. So it's been tough, but I mean, things could be significantly worse. Thank you for asking.
Yes, thank you. And John H says the game show guy, which I'm assuming is a reference to. Oh, and Scoey Mitchell, SIC, also directed 13 East, which was taped near me in Irving, Texas. Thanks for the info. Texas, huh? All my exes live there.
In East Texas. That's cool.
Well, it's a song by George Strait, I think.
Yeah. Right.
Tracy Rothmeyer says, "Eminence,
Hi,
laugh
Tracy.
out loud." That's actually, believe it or not, that's actually the official reference, the official terminology. Thank you. I was groping for straws for senator. In parliamentary procedure, you refer to them as eminence. Believe it or not,
Eminence. Really?
eminence. I forget where I heard that, but apparently it's a thing.
It's a deal.
It's a
thing.
deal.
Hi, your eminence.
Here we are. John H says Senator Garn was Utah's other senator back then.
Yeah, I think I seem to remember that. I did meet. I think I was in 5th grade, and we did, and this was crazy because we had the actual governor come and speak at an elementary school. Because I remember it was in 5th grade, and the governor from whenever I was in 5th grade came to an elementary school and spoke to the kids, which was there was a lot of other people there too. It wasn't just us elementary kids, but I got to see him live. I don't know. Yeah, doesn't excite me so much.
Superplex very tackily brought up, well, that Chappaquiddick incident got in the way. Yes, he never lived that down, I'm afraid. That was Senator Kennedy's little well, yeah, we all know what happened. Tracy Rothmeyer says Ian Drury. Yes, he's the one who wrote Sex and Drugs and Rock and Roll. I have a parody song of that. It's Sax and Pugs and Rocky Road. But Pugs and I won't sing it for you, but I'll do an air saxophone solo. Right. No, I won't do that either.
Right.
Let's see.
Let's hold off on the comments for a second. Let's riff on what happened last night at the Oscars, because I think, were you talking about it before?
I mentioned it briefly in passing because there was a lot of buzz in our chat section about it. So yes.
So did you see it live or did you see it on repeat?
I found it this morning. I was having my morning coffee. At first, I thought it was a joke, and then I went on YouTube, and believe it or not, there were actually 1 or 2 posts of the incident on YouTube.
Yeah.
For a moment, this story actually briefly eclipsed the war in the Ukraine. This is what people were talking about.
Right.
So, yes.
Right. It was
but
huge.
you saw the entire incident, correct? You're familiar with the exact how it went
Yeah,
down.
I saw all of it, and I have mixed feelings about it personally. I mean, I can see it both ways. I can see it from Will Smith's point, and I can see it from Chris Rock's point too. I mean, there's a part of me that wishes mutual combat was still a viable option. I mean, really, actually, I think in Oregon they have a mutual combat rule where
Really?
I
So
believe,
yeah, no kidding.
yeah, I believe so. You can actually challenge somebody to a fight,
With a
and
glove.
well, the loser cannot call the cops if you enter into it knowingly. It's not just a sport; it's mutual combat. Um, and I mean, so here's one part of me. One part of me says, okay, he took a swipe at Jada Smith.
Mhm.
And I don't know if he knew. I don't know if he knew she had alopecia or not.
Everyone
Um,
else in the world seemed to, so I find it hard to believe Chris Rock didn't.
oh, okay,
Because
all right.
because my wife said she's known for years. Jada came out years ago and did it on did talk shows and whatnot on it.
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
guessing
So
if my wife knew, Chris had to know.
it was a well known thing because I didn't know that she had. I didn't even know she had alopecia until I thought she just got this haircut. I didn't know. So that's how out of touch I am with Will Smith, and his family. Um, so so he makes this joke, and you can tell that Jada was hurt when you see her facial expression, that it wasn't funny for her. And so one part of me is like, that's a man defending his wife. I get it, you know. And he smacked him. He didn't go punch his lights out. He went up and smacked him. The other part of me is like, well, you know, Chris Rock is kind of um, a roasting comedian, and you're in that world, and so you got to expect some measure of that. When you know some measure of that, and 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 so should Will Smith have at least said something? Yeah, probably said something. Did he need to slap him? No, absolutely not. The other part of me is why didn't Chris Rock defend himself? I
No,
I
I know exactly why.
why?
It's well, he was taking the moral high ground. First of all, I honestly believe when Will Smith slapped him, I
Yeah,
believe at first Chris Rock said, "Is this like a joke? Is this like a little thing? Is he gonna get back to his seat and say, 'Now your move' or something like that?" I think Chris Rock was so taken aback,
yeah,
he wasn't sure if it was serious or not. As you say, because he didn't, you know, go for the throat. He just sort of
yeah.
slapped him, and
But it was a pretty hard slap.
it
It was
was,
like,
but you can actually slap somebody and slap them a lot harder than you mean to.
oh yeah, yeah.
When you're horsing around, you can like whack. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit you that hard.
Oh, so
And
he gets slapped hard, but he's still thinking, "Oh, this is a little bit of a joke."
yeah, because it's Will Smith. I mean,
Yeah,
Will Smith is a known jokester and
right.
whatnot. So he may have thought it was just like a joke gone too far. He may have thought Will Smith was just trying to play along, and this was his. I remember I was in college once, and uh me and my buddy were in a car. He was in the front seat, I was in the back. I said something funny, and he went to hit me in the chest, and I went to duck, and he almost knocked my two front teeth out because
Oh yeah,
he went bam, and he
yeah,
went, oh, sorry, and I'm like, no, I think we're okay. I still got them, but it's like things go awry, particularly
right,
between two men. Also,
right.
I think Chris Rock was really trying to maintain a sense of decorum
Yeah,
because
yeah,
this is the Oscars,
right,
He's like, I can't fight this guy like it's like, you know,
right.
a strip mall parking lot at 2 in the morning. This is a black tie event.
Well,
I think he was just caught off guard.
yeah, I think
You
so. I
know,
think it probably was too. And I watched the swing a couple times. The angle of the swing was that's actually a very difficult. That's a difficult a move to parry actually, because he came from down low. He didn't cock his hand up like this and slap him. You can see he walks up, and it's almost comes up from an angle like this, and
oh,
that's actually very hard to defend because it comes in below your eye line, and it's
oh,
hard to see until it's almost too late.
oh,
Um, and
good. I didn't notice that. Thank you for pointing that out. That's interesting.
and so yeah, I I get why he didn't defend himself like initially, but I don't. What you're saying now makes more sense to me. Like why he didn't fight back, basically. Like why he didn't just jump in and start fighting, because he could have still thought it was a joke until Will Smith got back to his seat
See,
and started, saying all that the junk he was saying about it.
because it looked to me like I don't think Chris Rock really knew just how heated that situation was. Because he at first he kind of like smiling like
I know
and then all of a sudden he just kind of goes, "Oh,
there was there was like
oh."
there was a
Where,
serious moment there
moment
where
where it
where
dawned on him. So
like
this
that
was it,
this
huh?
is yeah
Oh,
that this is a serious thing.
mhm.
And then he did kind of go, well, that was the best moment in television or something like that.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Then he tried to, yeah. But
yeah,
it there's that moment where it looks like it dawns on him, and it's I feel bad for Chris Rock, and no one's talking about Chris Rock and about how he was humiliated in front of half the planet,
oh, that would
and
be
he
it
was,
for me. That would be, I
you
mean,
know,
if that had happened, I would have challenged him to a fight afterwards.
yeah,
I would have said, okay, we're going to fight. I said, we're going to fight and I wouldn't give him a lot of time either, because Will Smith's a pretty good athlete, but that's okay. I'd take him to the ground. I would choke him out. That's all there is to it. He wouldn't survive. I'm sorry. I would I would
oh
take
no,
him to the ground.
you could rip Will Smith in half. I mean, he does a lot of stuff on screen and stuff, but he's not a real martial artist. You would rip him in half.
No,
I don't
no,
know if
yeah.
Chris Rock would, but
No,
you
I
would
don't
rip him
know
in half.
either. I don't know either.
Oh,
But I
I'm
mean, it
certain
would.
you would, because, like I say, he does a lot of like acrobatics and stuff for the screen,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he's not like it's like Brad Pitt, you
yeah.
know. These people aren't trained martial artists; they just are trained how to look good on in front of a camera. Some Hollywood celebrities do train in the martial arts,
Well,
and they would be lethal. Will Smith
yeah,
isn't one of them.
he's very athletic. So it would, I mean, even being athletic and just being basically good, he would present a challenge. I'm not saying it would be easy, but
Oh no, it would be
I just
easy,
know
but
that as soon as you get somebody to the ground, and if they don't know what they're doing and you do, it's over. It really is. We've seen this over and over again in jujitsu competitions and the Gracie challenges and stuff, and the first MMA, where you could have all the stand-up skills you want, and you can even get hit a few times in the face going in to take somebody to the ground. But once they're on the ground and they don't know what they're doing, it really is just a matter of time.
they're gonna stay there.
You'll find the choke or you'll find the arm bar or something like that. But that's enough MMA talk or martial arts talk. But the other thing yeah, I think Chris Rock kind of played it off well as he could. But yeah, like what you're saying, he's not, he didn't like, nobody's talking about like the fact that he was humiliated and stuff like that. And, and that's sad. That's sad. I mean, his joke was hurtful. I did see that, but I just think that was an
Well, the
overreaction on
joke
Will
was
Smith's part.
hurtful, so
Mhm.
he deserved a slap on the wrist, not a slap across the face.
Yeah,
And I think the two should go to Oregon and settle it like gentlemen. And you know what? I'd pay per view that.
yeah.
Actually, you know what? And to make it fair, each one should have a second. We'll give Will Smith Kevin Hart, and we'll give Chris Rock The Rock, and then it'll be even Steven, and we'll see who emerges victorious.
Right, right.
I'm just
Like a,
gonna go fund me for this. I want to see this now.
that'd be great. That'd be great. Yeah, but the memes are just flying through the roof with this.
I can
Uh,
imagine.
with I don't know if you watch memes or anything, but just with this is just
No, I
crazy.
haven't, but
Well, let's get back to the comments. Let's see if anybody's commented on
sure.
this and are have any
John
other.
Cullen says, "Wow, the Candies. I'm assuming means the Kennedys." Are very big supporters of people with disabilities. They certainly are. The one big exception to this, of course, is the circumstances surrounding Rosemary Kennedy. However, that was a different time then.
Mm.
Um,
You can speak to
oh,
that if you want.
just that the Kennedys were very, very big with people with disabilities. I'm gonna stay away from the whole Rosemary thing, just
Okay. All right.
because. John H says, "I like Weird Al's version of Nirvana. Smells like Nirvana.
It's
That was
hilarious.
perfect.
It's hilarious.
Perfect."
It's hilarious. Weird Al always stays relevant because he's always parodying modern songs. So there's never a time where Weird Al is like, oh, he's passe. You know what I mean? He's always just cutting edge. Yeah,
Exactly.
I loved Smells Like Nirvana. So did Nirvana, by the way. The only question they asked Weird Al when they did the signing for this was, and when they signed off for it, is they said, is it gonna be about food? And Weird Al says, no, it's gonna be about how nobody understands what you're saying. And I had that problem when Nirvana first came out. I had no idea what he was saying. Like,
I know. But he was so intense, it didn't matter if I didn't know the lyrics. I should do Nirvana songs for my top 10 unheard 80s lyrics, because no one knows a thing about his lyrics.
Right.
Oh, Lynn's Chaffin. Oh, Bob, what do you put on your toe if you drop a tuba on it? You put on a Band-Aid.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Not to blow my own horn, but that's a good one. Tracy Rosmeyer said,
not to blow your own horn.
You like that?
I got it. Didn't slip past me.
Tracy Rosmeyer says, I also like Iggy and the Stooges and the Velvet Underground. I saw Iggy live in Boston about 15 years ago, and it was the best concert I ever went to in my life. He puts on an amazing show.
Yeah.
Dave Cloney says, well played, Lance. Well played. Yes, it was excellent. Oh, look who's in the house. Number one dude. Hey, NC. Hey, Thrash. Hello to you, too. Skipping down. A lot of people having... Number one dude says, great video with ENC with Thrash and Owen. It was an excellent video. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a really good conversation. For sure.
Superflick says, Uber bomb is for cows. Yes, and you're for the birds. And that's a joke. So I'm sorry. It's the best I can do on such short notice. Dave Clooney asks, ENC, what's your preferred martial art?
Well, personally, for me, my preferred martial art really is Jeet Kune Do. It's Bruce Lee style. It's the style that I've probably had the longest experience with overall, and it's the style that's kind of most open to my philosophy, as far as what a martial art should do and should be and should accommodate. That's my preferred style. But if someone's asking different questions, like, I'm going to be in a fight in 3 weeks, what should I study? Or, it's really highly contextually variant as far as what I would recommend. Quite honestly, a lot of what I recommend these days is just jujitsu. Like, just go to a jujitsu school. You're going to love it. Or go to if you can find a good JKD school, you can go to a JKD school where they might have some jujitsu ground training. Ground training is really important. But I just love jujitsu. I think jujitsu is just the bomb. It's just a lot of fun. I've never gone out of a jujitsu class not sweating from head to toe, and it's great. And it just depends on your personality and what you want to do with it. I mean, do you want to lose weight? Do you want to learn how to defend yourself? Do you want to become a professional fighter? Those are all variations of are things I'd have to consider and able to answer that. For me, JKD is kind of like my home base, and then I put extensions onto that. But the real truth is you pick one style, you pick a style, you pick it and you stick with it, and then you don't lie to yourself about where it's not effective, because every style will be deficient in some way. So you don't lie to yourself about where it's deficient, and then where it's deficient, you go out and you study a style that's efficient in that area. So, for example, Wing Chun is great with like hands. Wing Chun is really fast hands, but it has no groundwork. So if you're like, say, I want to do Wing Chun, do it 100%, go as much as you can, and then go to a jiu-jitsu school on the side and learn groundwork there. Because if you get taken down, it's none of your Wing Chun is going to make a difference. So
didn't they do dance hall days back in the 80s?
I knew that's Wang Chun, not Wing Chun. All right. What other questions we got?
Tracy Rossmeyer says, I want a Ramones t-shirt. Who are these Ramones? I actually saw them live too, and guess
Did you
where?
really?
I saw the Ramones live.
Oh
This would have been
man,
in '87, and it was in North Adams, Massachusetts.
that's
Oh,
awesome.
truth be actually, Williams, it was the town next door. It was the rich kids' school next to us. Oh, bit chompy this year. Who are you taking on the Fagawi? Oh,
I think the Ramones are they like the first punk band, like technically the
U.S.
first?
The
Yeah,
U.S.
but US had it first. It's the idea that
Okay.
UK didn't. That's a myth. The UK did not have punk rock first. The UK we had it first. I think it was the Ramones too, but I could be wrong. So
Quite well. Like I said, there were their origins in different bands, and people quibble over who that origin stories can be attributed to. So I will grant you. So I'm going to say yes. We'll call you Ramones the first punk rock band. Hungry Jerk says, "What about Dr. Pendike's miracle solve? Don Knotts.
I
Well, to
don't.
solve and solve not,
That's got to be from a Don Knotts movie or
not,
something like that.
or I think it's from Andy Griffith actually.
Oh, I don't
That's
have any
the
of these. Well, I had some utter cream, but I don't know if it was the exact utter cream you were talking about. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean these are
It was an
medical
utter failure.
questions. These are medical questions, and I already more. I don't have a doctorate in that area.
Dave Cloney says, Pons, are you a George Strait fan? Long story short, there was a pub performer who was a good friend of mine many years ago. I used to go and see him all the time, and he always closed with "All my exes live in Texas." So I do like George Strait, but the reason I always refer to that song is because this gentleman always closed with it. So anytime someone mentioned Texas for years, my response was, "Oh, all my exes lived there." And some people got
Ah,
it and some people don't. But and Lance Chafin says, my prayers are with you and your wife for a speedy recovery.
oh, thank you. That's very kind of you. Very kind. Really appreciate it. Means a lot.
Oh, and Spike Spike says, okay, one last question. The gerbil story, fact or fiction? I'm really hoping it's fiction. If
I
it's a
think
gerbil
so
story,
too.
if it's what I'm
I
thinking
think
of.
so too. Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't know if I want to get too into that one. But I think we all know what we're talking about, and I think it's fiction.
Tracy Rossmeyer says, live or Memorex on the Oscars? It was live. In fact, you can actually go on YouTube and see, because right after that whole shenanigans, they went to
Yeah,
commercial and they've aired the commercial footage where it was just kind of like, and I guess Denzel and some other people go up to Will Smith and give him a hug. Who cares about Chris Rock, huh, guys? But they're all
yeah,
giving him a hug because apparently I think he had some type of emotional breakdown. I honestly do. I honestly do. I think he's been under pressure for decades, and I think last night I think everything just kind of got to him. So
yeah.
yeah. So I think that's why people were coming up and giving him a hug.
Right. Well, and then
Nobody caring about Chris Rock though.
yeah, then he got up and he apologized and didn't apologize to Chris Rock.
No, he
He
didn't.
apologized to the studios and he said, "Oh, Denzel told me at the height of your glory, that's when the devil comes for you." And certainly that's true. But I mean,
Uh,
he didn't apologize to Chris Rock at all. He said, "No, I'm very sorry to the Academy. I hope you have me back." I'm like, "What about Chris Rock? You're
I
not
know, right?
sorry to him? You didn't think you overreacted just a tad?"
And
So
it's the Flip Wilson defense. The devil made me do it.
the devil made me do it, right?
Do you know there was I don't have all the details in front of me, so I don't want to get too far off topic because I can't back this story up. But I believe there actually was a case in Providence, Rhode Island, about 40 years ago, where someone committed a murder and said they were under the influence of the devil at the time, and their defense actually read that. It's the only time demonic possession has actually been used as a defense in this country.
Oh wow,
So yeah, and that was in
interesting.
Providence. Yeah. If you've
Hmm.
been to Providence, you'd understand. I'm sorry. It's actually a very nice city. Um, Jenny Staten says, I didn't know about her hair problem either. Well, a lot of people didn't, but again, I'm guessing a lot of us don't watch talk shows with Jada Pinkett Smith. So,
Yeah.
here's a good one. Hungry, and this is true as well. Actually, Will defends Jada. She cheated on him. What? Ooh, not now. Naughty word. But yes, she has been unfaithful to Will Smith. It's my understanding Will has also been infidelitous as well.
I
So,
think they're in an open relationship. I think that's kind
which,
of common knowledge in Hollywood that
but
they.
it's very unhealthy,
Yeah, I
if
mean,
you ask
I'm
me.
not saying that's something I'm recommending or anything, um, but of course not. But I don't. Yeah, I think that they're in one of those relationships.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is I don't know if you can call it cheating
Well,
technically if the other person knows about it.
you know,
It still might
if
be considered wrong or immoral. I'm not making a judgment that way, but I mean, I think I'm just saying that. I'm just
if I'm
saying.
taking an exam in school and
Uh-huh.
I'm looking at the kid next to me's paper, and the teacher sees me do it, lets me slide on it, I've still cheated. So
Oh,
the
good
fact that
point. Good
thank
point.
you, thank you. The
Really
fact that
good point.
the cuckolded is okay with it doesn't mean it's
It
still
doesn't
not,
mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's right. That's for sure.
or
And I agree
it's
with
still
that.
cheating.
Please
It
don't
might be sanctioned
misunderstand.
cheating. Yeah.
Please don't misunderstand me.
Oh no, I didn't
Like
think
I
you were
said,
defending it. I'm just like saying is,
I'm a
um,
born again Christian minister, and yeah, I don't approve of that whatsoever.
there
So,
is a distinction though between the deceit and the condoned
right,
infidelity. I'll grant you that, but it's still, they're still cheating on each other.
right, right.
um, uh, John Collins says comedy is upheld within the First Amendment. Slapping and assault is not. Okay, you take the nail, right, and the hammer, and you would hit the nail, bam, right on the head. That is this whole experience in a nutshell. Yes, what Chris Rock did was certainly outside the bounds of good taste, but what Will Smith did is a felony, and I think that's kind
Yeah,
of where we all are here.
and I think I did I mention this before, but apparently the police did get involved, and and uh, and Chris Rock said that he refuses to press charges at this point. So I don't know. I don't know why he would refuse to press charges. Maybe he felt guilty about saying something like that. Maybe I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
I think right now his best move is taking the moral high ground. You know, if he says like I'm going to be the bigger man and just let this whole thing go away and faults on both sides, then he's like a super cool guy. If he goes running and sobbing to, of all people, the police, or worse yet, if he tries to sue Will Smith for damages, he's going to look like a snot rag.
mm,
And I certainly see him. He's more worried about the court of public opinion than the actual criminal and civil court. And
mm.
these days, I don't blame him.
Yeah, part of me though. I mean, it's the big deal though is that um, part of me wants to say that if I was in Chris Rock's shoes, I would definitely want some type of compensation. I mean, there's just something about that you don't. I know what it's like to feel humiliated. By the way, just so you know, I know what it's like to get actually beat up in public
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
Me
feel
too.
humiliated.
Me
Yeah,
too.
I've
Yeah.
had that happen before when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and your whole thoughts revolve around getting back at that other person. It'd be really difficult not to want to do that. And of course, there's a thin line between revenge and justice. I mean, I'm not
Not to
saying
me. I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. There
we shouldn't.
is.
We shouldn't. It would be difficult to not want to seek justice in that situation.
Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what. By proxy, the first time I saw the video, when I saw Will Smith hit Chris Rock, I wanted to jump through the screen and deck Will Smith. I was that addiction because I know,
Yeah.
I felt for Chris Rock's pain, and I'm like, well, if you're gonna hit him back, I will. And
Right.
there's that initial feeling, And so, no, I know exactly. Chris Rock definitely got the worst end of this, even though, and I understand, did he start it? Yes, and it's very important we read that into the record. He did start it. On the other hand, he did not slap Jada. He made an
Right.
off-color joke, and I'm sure would have apologized had he known that he had gone too far. But again,
I think that if he really knew, like if it was really brought to his attention that he really hurt her feelings over a joke like that, I think Chris Rock would have apologized.
I
And
go too far all the time. And if I had $1 for every time I apologize, I could pay off my house. You
right,
know, just like
carry him around
trust
like
me,
crazy.
I know where he speaks. But of course, this is nothing new. I mean, they recently had a whole incident with the roasts, and I'm not going to start naming names, but they had an incident at one of the roasts where someone Paul told a Paul Walker joke, and it split the roast in half because a lot of people thought it was too far. The other half said there is no such thing as too far in the celebrity roasts.
Yeah.
Nothing is off the table. And once you start that, all is lost. So sadly, it's the world we live in. I think all is lost as far as that goes. Oh, Hungry Jerk brings up an excellent point. I watched Richard Pryor insult every race and I laughed. Don't take it too seriously. 40 years ago, they would have laughed this off.
Yeah. It was a different time back then. Yeah.
It certainly
Well, I
was.
mean, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Superplex says Burt Reynolds likes slapping people. I didn't know that, but I believe it.
I think I heard something about that sometime that people were kind of afraid Burt Reynolds was going to slap him or something like that. So, all right.
I hadn't heard it, but I certainly believe it. Lance Chaffin says, I hope the Oscars die a slow and painful death. I think they already have. Ooh.
Yeah. We'll see. These things kind of come and go in cycles. But I mean, there'd be no tears. I'm not in that world, so I don't know. I mean, if you're in that world, maybe the Oscars are like the best thing since sliced bread. But for me, if they didn't have the only award show I ever was interested in watching was the MTV Music Awards. That was it. That's the only music. That's the only award show I ever watched when I was growing up at all. I never watched the Oscars, wasn't interested in the Oscars, wasn't interested in the Tonys, wasn't interested in anything like that. A little bit interested in the music one, the Grammys. A little bit interested in the Grammys, but not even terribly interested in that. I just feel like for me as a kid growing up, and even to an extent today, I felt like that even if I watched something I was really interested in, like music wise, and an entertainment show like the Grammys, I felt like they were out of touch, and I felt like MTV was more in touch. I mean, they were bringing up bands that I had an opinion about and that I was interested in. Where in the Grammys of the same era, there were hardly any bands. I was just like, I don't care about these people. I was like, I mean, it's cool that they get awards. I'm glad they're super talented, but for me, relevant to me, if the Oscars disappeared tomorrow, I wouldn't even know the difference. I could go probably 5 years and go, have they had the Oscars in a while yet? I wouldn't even matter.
Oh, some other people have dropped in, and I don't want them to think that we're ignoring them.
Okay,
So
yes, for
I want to
sure.
put them on the.
Terrell.
Terrell Eugene Bellinger says, "Happy Monday. What are your thoughts on the passing of Taylor Hawkins of the Foo Fighters? Funny you should ask."
Well, yeah, I think that was a while back, so I think
Yeah,
you probably heard what I had to say. Yeah, sad stuff. Sad stuff.
very
We can
very
move it
sad.
along.
Oh, certainly, certainly. I'm just.
Well, I don't mean to brush him off. I'm just
Oh.
saying, I think that was written before I addressed it, and I think he's heard what I had to say now. So let
Now,
me know if
yes,
you
I
want.
think so.
Yeah. What about
Nancy D, welcome, Nancy D. What
welcome?
about the Sex Pistols? They
Well,
were.
you know what? I just looked this up, and actually, this it says here. It says that the Sex Pistols were thrown together in September 1975 by manager Malcolm McLaren. So that's the date on the Sex Pistols. And But the date on the Ramones, it says the band formed in early 1974, and so they've got them beat by 1 year. So the Ramones have got them beat by 1 year. Technically the Ramones were first, as far as I can tell. But I haven't done a deep dive. That's just the first thing that popped up on Google. So I could totally be wrong.
Thank you for checking. Oh, Lee Mateus is in the house, back with the good stuff. Hey, Lee, thanks for joining us.
We're trying. Hey, Lee, I am going to contact you. Just so you know, I'm going to contact you tomorrow to see if you want to be on the show on Thursday. So just so you know, and that would make you the guest not this next Monday, but the Monday after, because we got a little bit of a delay with what Owen's doing. So he couldn't make it tonight. So we're booking him for next Monday. So things are kind of back a step, which is kind of good because it actually takes me a while to get the podcast out so that podcast listeners, if they want to jump in on this, have some time to listen and jump in. It's kind of I feel like it's a little bit rushed when I get it out on Saturday and then I do the same show on Monday. So it's a little bit of rush, but if you're interested, basically I'll hit you up on Instagram. I think it's the best place to get a hold of you. And but you'll have to be the expert, seriously, on rap and hip hop.
I certainly am not.
I'm not either. I'll do some brushing up, but I'll get a hold of you maybe even after this show and just kind of touch bases with you, because I am looking to do an episode on that. It's certainly part of Gen X culture, even if it wasn't my big experience.
Rich Atwood is in the house. Hello,
hey, Rich.
Richard. Jada Smith has cancer. That's why he did that for Chris Rock, and Will Smith got pissed. I thought it was alopecia, which is hair loss. Yeah,
it's alopecia. That would suck if she had cancer too, on top of everything.
That would, maybe she recently got diagnosed, and
could be.
Will knows and Chris doesn't, and that's why. Well, that would explain a lot if that were in fact the case.
Yeah.
Oh, and Dave Claroni says Pons is on a roll. Actually, here's I'm sorry, I had another one, and thank you. Yes, I am on a roll. Here's the one I wanted to post. Dave Claroni says I would give Pons money for Patreon.
Well, you got to start a Patreon page.
I have to start a Patreon page.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm just trying to go back to. I want to say hello to all you folks who joined in, because I don't think we were ignoring you, but I'm trying to go back to where we left off with the actual questions. So talk amongst myself while I.
Here we got one here.
Oh, okay. Oh, we just.
Oh no, I just did that one. Okay, sorry. There was one.
Superplex says insult comedy goes as far back as Don Rickles.
Oh yeah, a original kind of insult guy.
Yeah. And actually, Spike Spikerson brings up a good point. W.C. Fields. It actually goes back quite a ways. Don Rickles made a career out of it, but the idea of being insulting while you give a monologue is something that certainly isn't new. It may be getting out of fashion. I have a funny feeling. This may have actually come. People will be start hey, lay off the insults. We don't want any trouble tonight.
Right.
Right. And Tracy Ross Myers says the whole thing was very disrespectful, even if it was staged. You know what? I couldn't have said it better. This would have almost been worse if it had been staged. Right. Because it made a mockery of the Oscars. It made a mockery of Jada's illness. It made a mockery of everything. And yes, somehow it would be worse.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, Terrell Eugene Bellinger says, I've thought that way. I'm sorry. I thought that the way Will Smith slapped Chris Rock over Jada joke was just a publicity stunt.
I don't think it was. I think that was a real thing. Let's do this one too.
Oh, sure. Terrell Eugene Bellinger says, do you think that Melrose Place is considered to be the 90s Gen X equivalent of the classic 80s glitzy and glamorous soaps like Dallas and Dynasty?
I think Melrose Place, along with 90210, was definitely a soap opera. The difference, I think in both in Melrose Place and in 90210 is that they were targeted at younger audiences. I just I see let's see, how should I put this? I see Melrose Place as still being targeted to people of that age who are on it and younger, where I saw something like Dynasty as being targeted to that people and older. So I think that it's different in that way. So I don't think that they're quite equivalent, just that they're both soap operas.
And that was the weird thing about the early '90s, is that if you notice, like I started watching Dallas when I was like 12, but all the main characters in those primetime soaps were middle-aged, established people from old money.
Yeah.
And then when you got into the Gen Xers, it was okay. It's all gonna be about a new generation now. It's all gonna be people who were born in 1970 or after,
Yeah.
and this is going to be the new focus is going to be a new generation itself, not just the people, the entertainment itself. And I thought it was very interesting that everything was starting from scratch almost.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, uh, uh, so you're telling me that you were into Dynasty when you were how old? 15?
Dallas.
Oh,
Um,
Dallas.
I did watch Dynasty, but it wasn't my thing. I loved Dallas, and I started watching it when I was 12 years old.
Oh yeah, when you were 12. Sorry. Uh, this to me, this is really amazing. You would have been the outcast in like not in a bad way. Don't misunderstand me. Well, I was an outcast too, but like I didn't know anybody my age who liked Dallas. Like I didn't know anybody my age who liked Dallas or Dynasty or Knox Landing or anything. Those were all stuff my parents were watching and grandparents. So that was very. Did you have a lot of friends who liked that?
Yeah, in fact, it was my friends who got me into it.
You're
And
kidding.
to be
May
honest, you know what I think it was? You know what I think it was? If you remember, I mean, it doesn't seem particularly risque now by today's TV standards or the fact that we're adults, but when you're 11, 12 years old, I mean, there's a lot of racy stuff going around. I mean, JR is having affairs and he's talking about doing these things and that things, and there's a lot of like crooked board deals. I mean, there's a lot of
Mhm.
drama and a lot of risque. I want to watch my language. Very raunchy stuff going on. So it was like stuff you simply wouldn't get while watching reruns of Bugs Bunny. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so I mean,
Right.
and it was mainstream enough where my mother would be like, "Ugh, turn that off. That's a naughty program. That's not for you." So it was just mainstream enough where she would let me watch it, but not so far that that's for grown-ups.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. I mean, it might have just been a regional thing. It might have just been with my friends because none of my friends were interested in those kind of shows.
Hmm.
We were all interested in, but we were interested in shows like Riptide and I mean, some stuff that was Spencer for Hire, things like that. We were interested in that because we were a little bit more action. But as far as just the drama was concerned, I was bored to tears. I didn't know any that it appealed. I don't think it was meant to appeal to kids though either. Though I think it was meant to appeal, like you were saying. The people on there were all middle-aged, established people, and that's who I saw watching it. Where with Melrose Place, kids were watching Melrose Place, too.
Yeah.
I think. Anyway, I don't know. All right.
Oh, I'm guessing this is to my earlier throwing down the gauntlet to Mr. Superplex. He says, "What, T-Pawns? 50 paces, Oregon rules. What are we going to do with sniper rifles at 100 paces away?"
50 paces.
50 paces. Okay, I'll take the challenge. You go to Oregon, I'll stay here in Massachusetts, and we'll duel from here. Oh, Superplex says, "Scalding water is my martial art."
Oh yeah. Well, if you throw scalding water on somebody, you're sure to win that fight.
John Collins says, "Bob, if you had a Patreon, I would definitely open my wallet, and I'm sure others would as well. I'm going to start me a Patreon.
Yeah.
I can resist anything but temptation. You guys want to offer me money? I would be only too happy to put it towards my ongoing projects. Thank you very much." Dave Florney says, "Bruce Lee was a genius."
Yeah, for
He
sure.
was.
Loved him. Big Bruce Lee
And
fan.
Superplex says, "You are very generous, John. Yes, John, your generosity knows no bounds."
Yeah, John is a very generous person. He's awesome. A lot of these people are very generous too. I just want to say that, but yeah.
Terrell Eugene Bellinger says, "I did learn Tai Bo when I was younger. Billy Blanks was a genius."
I certainly made a lot of money on that Tybo. That's for sure. I had Tybo. I did. I still have them. I still have the videos, the Tybo videos. Loved them. I used to get in front of the TV and do my Tybo workout.
Wasn't he sued for borrowing that whole idea from someone else and didn't give them credit?
I hadn't heard it.
I,
Maybe.
I, I mean, the system was a system, but who actually invented it was the subject of some debate. I'm not sure how that played out, but I remember there was some.
That's kind of like trying to sue somebody over like who you like being like aerobics. You know what I mean? I mean, it was just basically I don't know.
No, yeah, it was
Maybe
aerobics
he
and
did.
boxing. So,
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Dave Filoni says Miracle Solve was an Andy Griffith reference. I thought so. I thought so. Oh, and John, it's just to put the story to bed. That Gerbil story happened in SLC, Utah.
Oh, all right. Well, good to know.
And that put that to bed. Um, Hungry Jerk says, and the story of Rod Stewart, Fact or Fiction. I'm not even going to address that one.
I don't know.
Sorry. It's a family show, John. And I'm sorry, Hungry Jerk. and here's one. And Dave Clooney says, Spike, I'm hoping you don't want pictures of them. Oh my God. we're becoming middle school kids all of a sudden tonight.
Let's clean it up, folks. Let's clean it up.
Hey, we're having fun. We're having fun. Skipping down. Here's a good one. Lance Chafin says, cheating never ends well. No, but it starts pretty fun.
Ha ha. Boom.
Pardon moi. My wife's in the other room. She knows I'm kidding. Don't you dare. Lance Chafin says, fake awards for fake people. Let them find real jobs like everyone else. Really on the celebrities tonight, aren't we, Lance?
Yeah, that's a little. That'd be, in my opinion, just in my personal opinion, a little too far. I'm glad. I think I do get the fact that they do live in a world all on their own, but it's a world kind of created by everybody. I mean, if the fans weren't who they are, so you can't. If you're super famous, you can't go to the store without being mauled. But is that the celebrity's fault or is that the fans' fault? And if you're just around a bunch of people who are in that same position, you're going to kind of build your own little pretend world. So I see it as a byproduct of it. I'm glad they're doing what they're doing because I love watching their movies. So
I as well. Chris Rock should make Will take him out for ice cream. Now that'd be a nice way to end this. Spike says, sorry, but I never apologize. Love the duality there. Well, except just then. Sorry.
And just then it means sorry, I never apologize.
I've told you a million times not to exaggerate.
Yes.
Well, I'm an existentialist, as fate would have it.
Really?
Dave Clooney says, Spike, you are gold tonight. He always is.
Yeah, he's a pretty funny guy.
Oh, I'd slap a reporter too. Well, it would depend on what he was reporting. Yeah. I mean, if someone broke into your house, so are you okay, sir? Slap. I just that might be a little harsh, but
like Tommy Lee, he was on a roll there for slapping reporters.
Well, he's nuts. He should be locked up somewhere, but that's just me. Has anyone seen the movie? Was it Pam and Tommy and Pam, or
no? I have not seen it. I have not seen it.
I kind of want to. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I can understand why people would want to see it.
Lee Matea says, Annie Hall is great, though. Any Woody Allen flick is good. I love Annie Hall, and for his movies, I'm still a fan of Woody Allen films.
Yeah, for sure. Groundbreaking. Groundbreaking.
Lance Chaffin brings up an excellent point. 12 likes? 16 in here, which means 4 of you haven't liked. And I'm
Like
guessing
it.
a few of you haven't even subscribed to my channel, even though I finally broke the 100 mark. So
Hey,
tonight I want the rest of you to subscribe.
Congratulations on that.
Thanks. Thank you so much. Let's see. Superplex brings up celebrities are too infatuated with self-aggrandizement. Ain't that the truth?
Of course. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Let's see. Hungry Jerk says, God save the Queen. Anarchy.
So I
Digs
just I just put in Thrash Pondo's link to his page in case you haven't subscribed. Yeah, I mean, don't go right this minute, but you know, you can click on
At
it
leisure.
and go there, and
At
then
leisure.
and we'll all just talk about the Patreon page. I got to put my own Patreon page up here, right?
You definitely do. You definitely do.
So
Give to him too. Oh wait.
oh well, you know, I mean, we're all trying to make it. We're all helping each other out.
Superplex says, T-Pons, what happened to Ginny in a gutter? I figured out what you were getting at with that. It was my story about Michael York. And of course, that led to a discussion of Jenny Agutter because they were together in Logan's Run and she was hotter. But yes, if you'll indulge me, I'll actually it's a very funny and short story, which I will tell right now. Long story short, I was in one of those conventions. My company.
I don't want to hear it. No, I'm just kidding. Go on.
Oh, you from Hell's Heart, they stab at the. No, I knew you were kidding. Of course, I will continue. It was for the video store, and we used to have these big conventions, and they used to bring out these big celebrity guest stars because Paramount and Fox would want us to hawk their movies. So they would have these celebrities do guest appearances and have us plug their movies. And one of the big ones this year was Austin Powers 2. And there was a line out the door of people who wanted the autograph of Mini-Me, Vern Troyer. But very few people wanted the autograph of Michael York, who I've been a fan of since I was in elementary school. So while everyone else was getting Vern Troyer's autograph, I went over with the 3 other people to get Michael York's autograph. And I know celebrities hate doing these events, but I figure a fan is a fan. And I went up to him, and he gives me this very nice 8x10 black and white glossy with an autograph on it. And as he's handing it to me, he said, I'm gushing a little. I'm like, I've been a fan of yours since I saw you in the Three Musketeers. And he goes, is that so? Like, nothing. Like not even white noise. Like no recognition, no. And this is like really long, awkward pause. And I'm like, well, thank you. And I go over to Vern Troyer to get his autograph, and he gives me it too. And it's so cute because he's actually standing on a chair to sign the autographs, and he hands it to me. And Shasta McNasty had just been renewed for its second season, its final season, I'm afraid, but its second season. And as he's handing me the autograph, I go, hey, congratulations on being renewed this year. And as if he didn't even know or anyone would know he was on a show, he goes, hey, thanks. And I'm like, you see, that's how a celebrity should act to an adoring fan. Right. So, Zoop, that's my Michael York story. I'll try to come up with something a little more risque for Jenny Agutter, and I'll get back to you on that one. But the story is now read to the record.
So let it be heard, and so let it be done.
Etc. 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 Oh, John Collins says, Bob, this is a joke. Are you Massachusetts wealthy or Massachusetts tax broke? I'm just here in Taxachusetts.
Taxachusetts.
Rich Atwood says, don't forget Rodney Dangerfield did most of the insults for comedy also. He certainly did. He did.
You know, Rodney Dangerfield, I'm a big fan of his work. He kind of insulted himself a lot, though. You know what I mean? He it was more about
no respect at all.
Yeah, it was more about. He talks about. I mean, some of his funniest jokes were like he said something like, "I told my son that he would have kids of his own one day," and he said, "So will you." And then he said, "I got the only dog in town that begs for Alka-Seltzer."
My wife makes meatloaf. It glows in the dark.
I thought his humor was just hilarious, and Back to School was pretty funny too.
He really was. Oh, back to school was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, but oh, Lance Chafin. I'm sorry, I'm laughing so hard I can't go through the comments. Lance Chafin said Lorenzo Lamas played a guy named Lance in Falcon Crest. Yes, he did. He was actually my favorite character on Falcon Crest, even though he was a moral degenerate. But he was great.
Never watched Falcon Crest.
It was good.
Was that one of those shows you watched when you were 12?
Later, I was in high school.
I see.
As I grew older, I started getting into more and more of the other primetime soaps. I watched Dynasty though because, of course, it had Heather Locklear, and I had something of a schoolboy crush on her.
Oh, she was
Speaking
amazing.
of Tommy Lee, yes, she was.
Speaking of Tommy Lee, speaking of David Spade, too. David Spade and her were an item for a little while. She was on Rules of Engagement. Did you ever watch that show? Oh yeah.
No, I never watched Rules of Engagement. So
that's
a
great show.
I did not know that.
It's hilarious. Yeah.
Rich Atwood says after everything happened for rap, it just started falling after Tupac and Biggie were killed. Then it just started falling. Then after all that, all the other rap artists were getting shot and killed. Kind of a grim way of looking at it. There was still some that was still around.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to indulge Spike Spikerson. Okay, one last question, eh? How many monkeys do you think you could beat in a fight? 3.
Not even one. I couldn't, for real, not even one monkey. One monkey would tear you apart.
Wait, monkey, not chimpanzee. Chimpanzee would tear you apart. Monkeys are smaller.
Okay, I don't know. I still wouldn't want to fight a monkey.
I think 3 monkeys would be the equivalent of 1 chimpanzee. So I'm going to stick with 3.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Hungry Jerk says, my friend's sister was always in a bikini during the pool scenes for Falcon Crest. So you watched Falcon Crest in your bathing suits?
My friend, yeah, I was kind of get. Was she on the show or like when Falcon Crest came on, they all got into their bathing suits?
It sounds like Hungry Jerk had a thing for his friend's sister. And little secret, I had many friends who had very many hot sisters. So
yeah, sure,
something I could certainly empathize with you. In fact, this is a true story. One had a sister who was just slightly under our age bracket. But I got to tell you something. When I got out of college, let's just say she blossomed, and I'm like, man, I should have led you on when I had the chance.
Yeah. Oh well. I think we all have a few of those stories.
Zuma Blick says, I think 12 for ENC and 2 for T-Pawn Spike. Oh, he's saying you could definitely take more monkeys than I could.
12 monkeys and 12 for me and 2 for you.
Well, 12 Monkeys was the movie, of course.
Yeah,
and
of course.
I don't know if 2 Monkeys was another movie, or T for 2, or 2 for T. T for 2 and 2. I'm free-forming at this point.
Okay.
Hungry Jerk says, love Riptide.
Yeah, it was good. Did you like 12 Monkeys?
Oh, I love 12 Monkeys.
Wasn't that based on a book
Le
too?
Jeté. Le Jeté, an experimental French film.
Oh, okay.
And yes, very, very loosely adapted, but yes, it was adapted from this French film. Number one dude said Predator is one of the best action movies. It certainly is. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Amazing cast. Just amazing cast. And Rich Atwood says, I grew up watching Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris.
Yeah. The best. I didn't get into Bruce Lee till later, but Chuck Norris I was into pretty early.
I think the first Chuck Norris movie I saw was the Octagon, and that would have been 79.
79 or 80.
Something like that.
Yeah. I did a whole thing on ninja shows on this channel one time because I think it was a little bit before we were kind of doing Monday night kind of tight. you know. So
Gotcha.
a little bit before you were like solidly co-hosting with me, but
Well,
but I did it with Samurai, I think, or maybe
oh,
you,
it
yeah,
was just before me. It was just before me because, in fact, I think I was supposed to be on that show, but we hadn't quite worked out the IT yet.
yeah.
Um, but question while we're on the subject, isn't what most people think of as ninja? That was actually one specific um, clan of assassins, and the actual ninjas themselves were much broader range of Japanese warriors. But the ones that
Uh,
have the hoods and the
yeah, the hoods and the stuff. This is so much goes into the folklore of what ninjutsu is or shinobi is that it's hard to piece through all of that. There's people who can do a much better job than I can, but basically, it was like a it's almost like a peanut butter kind of statement because you can apply it, spread it everywhere on anything. You know, it means too many things to really nail down. Some people thought of it as like a bad samurai. Um,
a
in
Ronin.
it,
Yes,
yeah, but in its most basic terms, it's just somebody who was into espionage. And so they didn't wear black. They would look like everybody else. It was
else.
more like a trade secret kind of a person. It was be somebody who could totally blend in, and they were just a part of the army, like you would say infantry or whatever. You know what I mean? Like part of the shogun's army. In that army, you would definitely have people who were more or less considered to be like ninjas, but they would go and do all kinds of things. They would do they would do like spy stuff too. You know, they would, so they wouldn't be wearing black hoods and stuff, but they would
Because you could
also
pick them out of the
do,
crowd.
yeah,
Mhm.
they would also do things like raids and things like that. They were a little bit more like special forces,
And they
but
would. Wouldn't they also do things like set fire to stockpiles and destroy
yeah,
bridges, things like that?
they would do things like that. There was a lot of myth that went around as far even back in the day. And
Mhm.
so even some of the stuff you can find on them from back in the day tends to be misinformation. So like scaling walls and things like that and walking on water and things like that. They would actually even produce like fake I don't know what you'd call it, like fake, not blueprints, but like plans.
Mhm.
So like you'd look at it and say, "Oh, this is how they do it," and it's not how they do it at all. It was dissemination of fake materials so that
Misinformation.
it would throw the other side off of the trail of how
Hmm.
they did things. So even when you go back and you find something early, it's kind of almost unreliable, and they're still even sifting through what's reliable and what isn't. But for the most part, it would just be like a section of a shogun's army would be more into what we would consider ninja stuff to be. So yeah,
Interesting. Very
they
interesting.
weren't necessarily the best fighters. They were not. They're like if you put a samurai and a ninja in front of each other, more than likely the samurai would win. The ninja was more like sneak up on you and kill you. You know,
Gotcha.
that kind of thing, where the samurai wasn't. So they weren't like yeah, they were more shadowy and assassiny.
Oh, Hungry Jerk says Buzz Aldrin punched a reporter. Yes, he did, for telling him to his face he
Yeah.
never went to the moon. And it's my understanding that Buzz Aldrin never apologized for that. So you
No.
know what? Yeah. So you know
Well,
what?
that guy was that. Yeah, you know, should he have punched him? Probably not. But that guy was out of hand. He was. Yeah, I've seen that before. He was yelling at him, "You're a liar, and you stole money," and blah blah.
Bam.
But that's old school too. You know,
Yeah.
old school people don't, you just don't roll that way. If you mouth off, we're so into our safe spaces these days. You mouth off about even in my day, you didn't mouth off. You get your butt kicked. You know.
You mess with a
So
man, this is what happens.
yeah.
Superblick says T-Pawns had sex in a gutter.
Jeez.
The 80s
Superplex.
were there were some gray areas in the 80s that I can't quite remember.
Is it gray that
Oh,
it was sex, or is it gray as to where it was?
it just the memories are foggy. It's very very foggy. There's one party, and I would put my hand on a Bible and swear to it that I once hit on Alyssa Milano.
Ah, wow,
I don't
cool.
know. My guess is it wasn't Alyssa Milano. She was just pulling my leg. She's a young lady who happened to look stunning like Alyssa Milano. I believed her to be and hit on her at a party, and hilarity ensued. But that was many, 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 many years ago. Oh, Rich Atwood says, just sub to you, Pawns. Thank you very much. I'm now up to
Awesome.
104.
Wait till you lose some. You ever have you
Oh,
lost any subs yet?
you know what? This is a true story. I was at 99. I went to 100. I started cracking open the champagne. I even went to the person with my 100th sub and said, "Thank you, welcome aboard. You put me over the top. Good for you." And someone dropped, and I went back down to 99, and I wanted to
Ah,
cry. I
it's
started
the
going through my list
worst.
to see who quit. I'm like, really, really? But then a few more jumped on. But
Yeah.
no, yeah, it broke my heart. It really. I took it
Uh,
personally.
yeah, it's the worst. I mean, I have this happen all the time. I always wonder if I'm gonna get like ahead. I just lost another one today. Like I was at 410. I'm like, oh cool, 410. We're almost to 500. I mean, we're climbing to 500. Then from 500, it's going to be downhill to 1,000. And at 500, and then it went from 410 to 4.9, and then to 4.8, and then back to 4.9. So I had lost two and gained one. So it's kind of a bummer. Look at that. But I guess a Dave, he talks about it. He says he'll lose and gain 25 to 50 in a day. So,
Well, when
but
you have 125,000,
right, right. He'll lose 25 and gain 35. Then the next day he'll lose 10 and then gain 5 and then gain. I mean, he says it's just all over the board with those kind of numbers.
Lance Chafin says, "Well, I'm out, folks. Good to see you guys. See you on the next one."
Oh, see
Lance, it
ya.
was it was great having you with us, buddy. Thanks for joining
It
us.
was really good to have you with us. Are we coming down to the end of our comments?
Um, Spike Spiken says Austin Powers too. Was that the one that had the Graham? It certainly was. I wish they
Yeah.
had sent her to chat with us. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. There's Superplex. Did you score T-Puns with Alyssa Milano? No. Trust me, you'd all, if I had, you'd all have heard that
You'd
story.
still be talking about it today.
I'd have a T-shirt made that said it. So no, she was a charming young lady, whether it was her or not. She was very charming, but no, we basically just chatted, and that's what that was, as they say.
Hey, don't
That,
forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff.
and we still have a few more. Oh,
By the way, everybody, we're going to put a pin in this one for just a second. I am as I sit here and look at it. Let me just because there were some people who were interested in this. Okay, so see now I'm down to 407. So now I just lost a few more. Oh no.
oh no,
Yeah.
oh no.
Well, I mean, it just so I went from 409 to 407 just in the last couple hours here. So I don't know what happened. So just so everybody knows where I'm sitting right now, because a couple of you were interested in my hours. So I'm at 1,777 public watch hour times. So I've got a few playlists. So you know what to do. Put those playlists on and let them all play through. So do that for me so we can get those watch hours up. So you make YouTube happy.
John Collins says, any thoughts on Andrew Silverstein, who played the character of Andrew Dice Clay? Nobody ever seemed to understand that he was playing a character. Oh, I think they did, but remember, his job was to push the envelope, and so I think as all shock as all shock comics did back in the day, they always went a little bit too far, and I think that's why, as we went from the 80s to the 90s, I think that's why a lot of them either reinvented themselves or just went away altogether. People forget Eddie Murphy was a shock comic in his day.
Yeah.
I mean, what
Uh-oh. I think we lost
live shows was rated X. So did I just crash?
For a second, but you're back.
I think we both did. Oh no, we just glitched for a second. For a second.
Yeah.
But yes.
Oh yeah. But Andrew Dice Clay, yeah, he's one of those people that have kind of become the persona. Same thing happened with Larry the Cable Guy. Like Larry the Cable Guy, that's not who he is. That you can find early things of him being he's someone else completely, but now that persona is just almost taken over his life. So it's one of those things that it's not technically you, but it's based on a big part of your personality. Like it's a slice of your personality magnified.
Mr. Litt brings up an excellent point here. He says sometimes you can hit the subline by accident. I've subscribed to people accidentally and hurried up and unsubbed.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what happened here. I mean,
Yeah.
I just looking, it was a 409 before I started the show, and now it's at 407. So I
But
just don't know what
it's
happens. I'm still going in the right direction though. I'm still climbing overall. You know?
ever
So
accidentally dislike something and not mean to, and then you hurry try to reverse it because you want the poor person to think that you don't like their stuff?
yes, I've done that before too. So somebody said,
Um,
"We're all right." Well, I am. We're going to go ahead and sign off here. So I think we're kind of coming to a close. This has been a good night, just kind of an open discussion.
you
Join
guys
us.
were a lot of fun tonight. You always
Yeah,
are, but
yeah,
tonight
of
this is
course.
a lot of fun.
But of course, join with us next week as we will be talking to Owen from the Action Elite, as far as I know. So I need to firm that up with him. It's something I'll be taking care of tomorrow as well. And just want to say good night and thank you so much. I always really, really look forward to it. I hate repeating myself every week, but it's true. I mean, this is the funnest night that I have during the week. I love talking with you guys. It's such a great community. I love how you guys are so interactive on this channel, and it really does mean the world to me. So please keep it up. Like, comment, subscribe, watch those videos, get me up past those. Got to get to 4,000. So I'm only a little ways from 2,000. I'm only a little ways from halfway there. So, all right. We will see you later. Take care, guys.
Peace, everyone.